Welcome. I'm your host, ScullyPop, where the entertainment doesn't stop. Welcome to the show. It's time to read. Tingle, 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 tingle. Izzy pop, Izzy pop, Izzy pop, pop, pop. Izzy pop. Sk, sk, sk. Logs in the work, logs in the work. Misha pop, Misha pop, Misha pop. Northern woman. Side tingle, alert, alert, alert. Hey Tim, New York gal, welcome Scott. Scott's here. Simply Debbie Sue, Simply Debbie Sue. Wild man's in the house, wild man in the house. Ross, hey buddy, it's Ross. We got a lot to read. Had to redo some things at the beginning of my third novel. I realized I was making a lot of mistakes with the plot. So we're going to start over. No big deal for you. Just kick back, listen to me, and I'll read to you. And get into it. Y'all don't forget to hit the like, share it out if you can. Good to see everybody. Izzy Pop out there dropping links. Pull up a seat, kick back. Please remember to pet the chat cat. It's a much better version of book 3. Our first novel was Dutch Coffee Shop. Then we had Land of the Dirty South. And now we're heading into the third book of the trilogy, which doesn't have a name yet, really. Super wow. So there's that. And there's the matter of $1 billion and 0 calories. So yeah, I realized some things that I did kill off Jimmy Dempsey at the end of book 2. So he had to end up faking his death a second time. And died 2 days later after they spread his ashes into the Gulf of Mexico. Right now we're calling it Blood Tulips. Chapter 1, Jimmy was alive, traveling through Brussels to Amsterdam on the passport under the name of Hunt. Had to reconcile some things there. William Dempsey is Jimmy's brother, not his son. make it pop platform. We'll be hearing more about that soon. Hey, Norma. How you doing, Norma? And Dickie is his son, not his nephew. Which was the single largest structural discrepancy in the manuscript. I'm doing all right. Yeah. We just had to clear up some things, but had a 16-year age gap in the timeline. Interesting. Mariana Rodriguez identity and backstory. Had that all screwed up. Anyway. There was a couple of sub issues where in Land of the Dirty South there was a blue diamond which Mariana gave to Zamora, the Costa Rican assassin. Hey Scott, thank you, sir. Knocking it out the park. Appreciate that. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for your donation. Really appreciate that. And then there was the heist in Holland, originally in book 1, where they did a heist for $3 million, and I had the components a little bit messed up there. With Zamora's allegiance in Land of the Dirty South, Lucero Zamora is Mario Augustus's assassin. He's been on the Augustus cartel's payroll for 6 years. Hey, Seidler, thank you, sir. 4 months. Appreciate that. Y'all check members. Check your membership for a milestone. Make sure I didn't miss anything there. Izzy Pop, been a member. She's been a member for more like 3 years, so that's not quite right. But yeah, some other things, you know, Zamora ended up being rewarded by Mariana with a diamond and was named the new kingpin of Mexico. So his shift in loyalty was actually set up in that book. But we failed to mention that in book 3 and skipped any mention of this transition. So anyway, it was a little bit of work on my part to clean that up. A lot of cool stuff going on with this book trilogy. So there's a quote at the beginning of book 3. It goes like this: "In the garden of violence, even the most beautiful flowers grow from soil soaked in blood." Yeah, so we're about to get into it. Hope everybody's having a good weekend. What am I looking for here? We'll be back. You doing wild, man? Ska. You got the best crab cakes on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Oh man, I'd say most of the restaurants will tell you they do. The ones that specialize in seafood, but if I had to give you mine, I'd probably recommend Steve's Marina in Long Beach. Get some really good fresh seafood there. You might catch them over at the Harbor View Cafe as well. Yeah. But it does sound good. They're rich, quite rich. Hey, Regina. How you doing? Okay. Yeah. Desiree, what you doing there? Good to see you. I saw you had a new video up. Yeah, I've definitely been trying to play catch up with everybody's videos. So we're in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. The European city slept under a blanket of cold rain. And warehouse on the eastern docks, where the Amstel River kissed the industrial sprawl of the harbor. A man lay dying. His name was irrelevant now. He'd been called many things in his 43 years. Courier, soldier, father, traitor. Tonight, he was simply meat. Blood pooled beneath him, black as oil in the dim light filtering through the grimy windows. This killer stood above him, wiping a serrated blade on a handkerchief embroidered with tulips. You should have stayed in Mississippi. The South suited you better than our canals. The dying man coughed, crimson bubbling at his lips. He'll come for you. Hunt, he'll come. Killer laughed, sound like gravel scraping glass. Hunt is dead. Scattered in the Gulf of Mexico with the rest of the garbage. I made sure of that. But even as Edwin the Groat spoke the words, flickered doubt crossed his reptilian eyes. He'd learned long ago, in the blood-soaked fields of Terneuzen, that dead men had a way of rising. He tucked the bloody tulip into the dead man's breast pocket, his signature, his calling card. Let him come, Edwin whispered to the corpse. Let them all come. The city is mine now. Outside, the rain continued to fall. washing the sins of Amsterdam into the ancient canals, where they join the ghost of centuries past. Prologue. Thank you, Lizzie Pop. Shake that. Wild man dropping those emojis. Let's see some emojis there, Regina. Everybody drop emoji. Part 1, The Resurrection. The Taos high-speed train sliced through the flat gray tableau of the Belgian countryside like a surgical instrument cutting through diseased flesh. Outside the double-pane windows, the world was a watercolor of muted greens and somber browns. Farmland that had seen centuries of blood and conquest, now reduced to a blur at 300 kilometers per hour. Inside the first-class cabin, the air was recycled in an antiseptic, carrying faint notes of expensive coffee, untaxed cigarettes, and the subtle desperation of businessmen fleeing their lives for a few hours of anonymity. The seats were plush, upholstered in burgundy fabric that reminded the man in 4A of dried blood. He'd seen plenty of that in his time, enough to fill these train cars 10 times over. The man watched the rain streak against the glass. Each drop was a small suicide against the speeding metal beast. Its reflection stared back at him, gaunt, hollow-cheeked, with eyes that held the 1,000-yard stare of a combat veteran or a terminal patient. In his case, both descriptions apply. To the casual observer, and there were always observers, he learned, the world was full of eyes. He appeared to be just another businessman, mid-40s. Perhaps through the weariness etched into every line of his face, suggested a man who'd lived several lifetimes in one. He wore a charcoal pea coat, Italian cut, unbuttoned to reveal a crisp white Oxford shirt beneath. The shirt was tailored to hide the slight bulge of the Glock 19 nestled against his ribs in a custom shoulder holster. His hands rested on a worn leather satchel, the kind academics carried to lecture halls filled with papers and chalk dust. This one contained something different. 40,000 euros in unmarked bills, 3 burner phones, 2 spare magazines, a forged Belgian passport, and a photograph of a boy he'd never stopped thinking about. The passport identified him as James Dempsey. The name felt strange on his tongue, like wearing a dead man's clothes, which in a way he was. But the ghost inside him, the real ghost, the one that whispered in the dark hours between midnight and dawn, that ghost still answered to another name entirely. Hunt. Hunt died 2 days later. The words echoed through his skull. A mantra from a eulogy he'd written himself. He remembered dictating the script to a lawyer in Zurich choosing every word with the precision of a man crafting his own epitaph. He remembered the way his voice had cracked when he described the scattering of ashes, a fictional ceremony on a charter boat in the Gulf of Mexico. After that, they spread his ashes into the Gulf of Mexico where they truly belong. A theatrical performance. The magician's greatest trick, making himself disappear. Thank you so much, Native. Much appreciated. Ting, 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 ting. Yeah, very nice. Hey, Val. Slipped through the cracks there on me. How you doing? Blaster. Gina. Test. That's right. Test. Here's a second local that's told me Steve's Marina. Heck yeah, man. It's a great place to eat. Mm-hmm. Emojis, light it up. What's that? Magic? What up, Magic? Val and Magic. Blood Dragoon. How you doing, Blood? Country girl. Uh-oh, is he? Popping it off. Spending her lunch money on me. Thank you, darling. Appreciate it. Take food off your plate now. Who's that, Brandon? Hey, Brandon. Debbie's still here. Good to see y'all's comments out there and emojis. Thank you so much. We've got 15 wonderful emojis in our memberships. Lay them out there as well so you can see what they look like. Now, if you get gifted a membership, it will fall off in a month. I think YouTube gives you the opportunity to renew and become a regular patron. You also have some behind the scene videos, some really cool stuff back there. And badges next to your name. Whoop, whoop. Yeah. Nice color out there in that chat. Awesome. Jump up like that every time. Where are we? Did all that already? Where did I just leave off? Okay. Check it. Check. Jimmy Dempsey. Hunt. The ghost, the dead man walking, touched his chest through the fabric of his shirt. Beneath his fingers, he felt the steady, rhythmic thump of his heart. It beat stronger now than it had in 18 months, when the doctors in Biloxi had delivered his death sentence with the clinical detachment of accountants reading a balance sheet. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4, metastasized to the lymph nodes, 6 months, maybe 8 with aggressive treatment. That had been the prognosis. That had been the beginning of the end. What the doctors hadn't counted on was the Swiss clinic in Zurich, a private facility that catered to the ultra-wealthy and the ultra-desperate, where experimental treatments flowed like champagne and ethics were as flexible as a politician's spine. Treatments had cost him $3 million in 6 months of agony that made the cancer look like a mild inconvenience. They had pumped him full of immunotherapy cocktails, targeted radiation, and drugs that weren't approved anywhere in the civilized world. The cancer wasn't gone. It lurked inside him still, patient predator waiting for the moment to strike. But it had been pushed back, chained in its cage, given a timeline measured in years rather than months. The Swiss doctors, marveling at their own success, had estimated he might have 3 to 5 years if he was careful. Hunt had no intention of being careful. Careful was for men who had something to lose. He checked his watch, a battered Omega Seamaster that had survived more firefights than most soldiers. 20 minutes to Amsterdam Central. 20 minutes until he walked into the city that made him and nearly destroyed him. 20 minutes until the war began again. His secure phone, a burner model with military-grade encryption that would have made the NSA weep with frustration, vibrated on the fold-down table. The screen lit up with a single word: Rotterdam. Hunt unlocked the device with a triumphant, "Check that." Hunt unlocked the device with a check. Hey, Johnny. Odinson. What's up, buddy? ScullyPop. Hey. Nobody's coming in. Check. Hunt unlocked the device with a thumbprint that the phone recognized despite the scars. The message was brief, coded in the vernacular of the trade. Language of abbreviated references and geographic markers that would mean nothing to anyone who intercepted it. The Dutchman is moving. The boy is with him, package en route to the docks. Hunt's jaw tightened. Klaus. After all these years, Klaus the Cracker was still in the game. Still running errands for the Augustus cartel, still playing both ends against the middle with the skill of a virtuoso violinist playing a symphony of betrayal. They had been partners once, brothers in arms, bound by the shared experience of surviving Ternosian. Hunt had saved Klaus's life. Klaus had returned the favor. They had split the proceeds of the heist 50-50, shaking hands on the bow of a fishing boat in the Gulf of Mexico, and promised to never speak of the past again. Promises in this business, they were as worthless as Confederate currency. Hunt typed back with a finger that trembled only slightly, not from fear, but from the cocktail of medications coursing through his veins. Location? The reply came back instantly, a digital whisper from a shadow network of informants and paid eyes that had taken him months to rebuild. Red Light District. Our Zeitz Vorbergval. Thijs Dubois is making the drop. Watch your six. Edwin's men are everywhere. Mariana arrived yesterday. Suite at Hotel La Europe. She's playing both sides. Hunt pocketed the phone and stared at his own reflection in the window. The face that looked back was a stranger's face. Lean where it had been once merely thin. Hard where it had once been merely weathered. The chemotherapy had stripped away whatever softness remained, leaving behind a skull wrapped in sun-damaged leather. Thijs Dubois. The name brought back memories like a punch to the gut. He remembered the files Klaus had kept in the old days, dossiers on everyone who touched their operation, from the highest cartel bosses to the lowest street-level runners. Thijs Dubois, 14 years old, blonde hair, blue eyes, face of an angel and the resume of a demon. Father unknown, mother dead from an overdose in a squat in Rotterdam. Raised by the streets and recruited by Edwin the Groat at the tender age of 11. Child soldier in a war that never ended. Hunt had promised Klaus he would look out for the kid back when they were still speaking. Back when looking out meant something more than surveillance and intervention plans. He had failed spectacularly at the promise, as he had failed at so many other things. But redemption, he had learned, was not a destination but a road. Long winding road paved with broken promises and littered with the corpses of good intentions. He was still walking that road. He would walk it until his legs gave out or his heart stopped, whichever came first. Train began to decelerate, screeching metal on metal, piercing the cabin's hermetic silence. Digital sign over the aisle flickered. Amsterdam Central. Hunt stood, grabbing his satchel with the smooth economy of motion that came from years of practice. He adjusted the collar of his peacoat, ensuring it covered the jagged scar that ran from his jaw to his collarbone. Souvenir from a knife fight in Ternosian that had nearly ended his career before it began. Around him, other passengers gathered their belongings, checked their phones, prepared for the mundane continuation of their mundane lives. None of them looked at him twice. None of them saw the predator in their midst, the wolf in businessman's clothing. That was fine. Anonymity was his greatest weapon. A world where facial recognition software and surveillance cameras track every move, the ability to be invisible, to be forgotten. The moment you walk out of someone's field of vision was worth more than any gun. Hunt moved toward the doors as the train shuddered to a stop. Through the windows, he could see the Grand Cathedral of Amsterdam Centraal Station, a monument to Dutch engineering and ambition. All vaulted ceilings and ornate ironwork. Crowds of travelers swarmed the platform like ants on a sugar hill, each one rushing toward their own private destination. Somewhere out there, in the maze of canals and narrow streets and centuries-old buildings, a 14-year-old boy was carrying a package that could start a war. Somewhere out there, Edwin the Groat was building an empire on the bones of the organization that had betrayed him. Somewhere out there, Mariana Rodriguez was playing chess with human pieces, her dark eyes calculating moves 3 steps ahead of everyone else. And somewhere out there, the ghost of Ternosians waited. Hunt stepped off the train into the cold Amsterdam air. The rain had stopped. The sky remained the color of old pewter, heavy with the promise of more precipitation to come. He breathed deep, filling his lungs with the familiar scent of canals and diesel and centuries of commerce. He was James Dempsey now, fisherman, the cancer survivor, the dead man. But beneath that mask, Hunt was still alive, still hungry. And he was coming to collect. Chapter 1. That is a kitty cat emoji. Kitty, kitty, kitty. And thanks again, Native and Izzy. Side order, thank you so much. Scott, appreciate you, bro. Good to see everybody. Where's Hojo? Hojo. I seen Hojo earlier. I popped in there and seen him over at, oh my gosh, wasn't that y'all stream, Solid Order, Cliff? Yeah, he was over there earlier. How you doing, Misha? Where's that video at? Let me see something. What do I do with that damn thing? Us Americans think we're organized and we're not. We can go. What do we do at the top or the bottom? We've got so many assets to go through, videos, images. Unreal. Hell with it. Hey, Lucy. Yep, I'm live. I know it's been a while. How you doing? Wild Man, thank you, sir. Scott. Side order, 4 months, and Izzy Pop, more like 37 months, maybe total. Yeah. Native saying hey to Lucy. Hey T, it's Popcorn. What's up, buddy? Just sliding by there. What's popping? Popcorn emoji. Oh yeah, we were live simultaneously, huh? Have to catch the replay later on. Scott's still here. Odinson. Hope everybody's having a good weekend so far. Magic pop. Magic pop, pop, pop. Ska, 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 ska. Ska, 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 ska. Six Bows is back. Ska, 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 ska. He's a clownfish. Tell us a joke. I'm having fish tonight. That's right. That's right. Les bons temps poulet. 6 tingles for 6 bows. Tingle, 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 tingle. Oh, thank you, Desiree. Thank you so much for coming in. Dropping those emojis, thank you. I'm getting ready for chapter 2 here in a second. Y'all got your earbuds in, push them in deep. Let's go. Oh, that's cool. Izzy got Desiree the membership. Awesome. Let's see, what else did I have up there?
Ah, ScullyPop Productions. Join us for the show. Gus, 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 gus. Tingle, tingle, tingle.
Thank you so much. Amsterdam was a city of masks, tourists wearing bliss, locals wearing tolerance, criminals wearing three-piece suits and charitable smiles. The rain had stopped an hour before sunset, leaving the cobblestones of the red light district slick and treacherous, reflecting the neon glow of the windows like pools of spilled blood catching firelights. The district itself was a contradiction wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in a latex bodysuit. UNESCO heritage sites rubbed shoulders with sex shops. Families with strollers navigated streets where women displayed themselves in crimson lit windows like living mannequins. Coffee shops advertised their wares and with the casual confidence of wine merchants. And the sweet, cloying scent of marijuana smoke drifted through the air like incense in a cathedral of sin. Our Zeitz Fort Breval, the old site front rampart in English, ran along one of the city's oldest canals, a narrow waterway that had been witnessed centuries of commerce, both legal and otherwise. The buildings that lined its banks were architectural relics from the Dutch Golden Age, tall, narrow structures with distinctive gables and pulleys that had once hoisted goods from merchant ships. Now they house everything from boutique hotels to brothels, from respectable restaurants to the kind of establishments that didn't appear on any tourist map. Tice Dubois stood in the alleyway behind the coffee shop Hill Street Blues, his backpack pressed against the damp brick wall, his breath coming in shallow puffs that dissolved into the evening air. He was 14 years old, though he could have passed for 16, 17 with the right clothes and the right attitude. The streets had aged him prematurely, stripping away the softness of a child and replacing it with the lean, hungry alertness that never quite relaxed. His face was angular, all sharp cheekbones, and a jaw that would have been handsome if it weren't perpetually clenched. A mess of dirty blonde hair fell across his forehead, perpetually unwashed, perpetually falling into eyes that had seen too much. Those eyes were the color of the North Sea in winter, gray blue, cold, fathomless. He wore a black hoodie 2 sizes too large, purchased from the second-hand shop in the pipe for €3. Beneath it, he had on a faded Metallica t-shirt that had belonged to his mother, the last physical remnant of a woman he barely remembered. His jeans were torn at the knees, not as a fashion statement, but because he had fallen running from the police 3 weeks ago and hadn't bothered to repair them. In the pocket of his hoodie, pressed against his stomach like a tumor, was a small package wrapped in brown paper tape. It wasn't drugs. Tice knew better than to carry weight for Edwin the Groat. That was a privilege reserved for the expendable, the deniable, the kids who wouldn't be missed when the police inevitably caught them and the organization cut them loose. No, this package contains something more valuable than any drug. It contained data. Portable hard drive, formed from the heat of his body, containing shipping manifest and financial records that documented the Augustus cartel's European operations in granular detail. Names, dates, routes, payments. a roadmap to $1 billion empire. Tice didn't know exactly what was on the drive. Edwin had explained it to him in the vague, patronizing way adults always explain things to children they didn't trust. Which was to say, he had explained nothing at all. "Deliver this to the man at the docks," Edwin had said. "He will be wearing a red scarf. You will say the words, 'the tulpen blowing.' You will respond. You will give him the package and leave. Do not speak to anyone. Do not stop for anyone. Do not look at anyone." Simple instructions, idiot-proof instructions. Except nothing was ever simple in Edwin the Groat's world, and Tice was no idiot. He pulled his collar up against the chill wind that had swept off the canal, carrying with it the scent of stagnant water and diesel fuel. The coffee shop above him pumped out a steady stream of marijuana smoke through its ventilation system. A sickly sweet cloud that made his eyes water and his head swim. He was supposed to meet his contact here in this alley. Checkpoint verification. One of Edwin's little tests to ensure loyalty and competence. The thought made Tice's lip curl in something that might have been a sneer or a grimace. Loyalty. Edwin talked about loyalty the way priests talked about faith. Constantly, fervently, and with the unspoken threat of damnation for non-believers. "We are family, Tice," Edwin had said during the first meeting 3 years ago, when Tice was 11 years old and sleeping in a cardboard box under a bridge in Rotterdam. "It's your organization is your family now. I am your family, and family takes care of its own." Family. The word tasted like ash. Tice remembered what family meant to Edwin the Groat. He remembered the stories that had filtered down through the ranks, whispered tales of what happened to people who disappointed the family, betrayed the family, who tried to leave the family. He remembered the faces that had disappeared, bodies that had washed up in canals, the blood tulips that arrived at doorsteps as warnings and eulogies. He remembered Sophie. His sister was 18 years old, 4 years his senior, though she might as well have been a generation older. She'd tried to protect him when they were children, when their mother was still alive and the world consisted of cramped apartments and broken promises. She'd held him when he cried, fed him when there was nothing to eat, told him stories about a better future that neither of them believed. Then their mother died, and the state separated them, and the streets swallowed Tice whole. When he found Sophie again 3 months ago after years of searching, She was working at Club Paradiso, one of Edwin's establishments. Entertainment, Edwin called it, a hostess, a dancer. Tice wasn't naive enough to believe that. Edwin said Sophie was paying off a debt. Edwin said she would be free soon once the debt was settled. Edwin said a lot of things. What Edwin didn't say was that the debt never got smaller. What Edwin didn't say was that Sophie's eyes were dead now, emptied of whatever spark had once made his sister instead of just a collection of flesh and bone. What Edwin didn't say was that the guards at the Club Paradiso had orders to shoot anyone who had tried to leave without permission. Tice gripped the package tighter, his knuckles whitening beneath the thin fabric of his hoodie. Someday, he promised himself for the 1,000th time, someday he would get her out. Someday he would make Edwin pay. Not today. Today he was just a runner. Chess piece on a board he couldn't see. Tice. The voice came from the shadows near the dumpsters, soft and American accent. Tice flinched. His hand darted instinctively toward the pocket where he kept the stolen switchblade. Pathetic weapon. Barely 5 centimeters of stainless steel, but it was better than nothing. The figure emerged from the gloom where the alley's dim light didn't reach. Tall, lean, moving with the coiled economy of a predator who conserved energy for a strike. The man looked like a sailor who had washed ashore after a decade lost at sea. Weather-beaten face, deep-set eyes that had stared too long at horizons that never got closer. There was something ancient about him, something that made Tice think of the old stories his mother used to tell about revenants and Draugr and ghosts that walked the earth seeking vengeance. Who are you? Tice asked, hating the way his voice cracked on the question. He tried to lower it, sound tough, the way Edwin's enforcers sound when they collected debts or delivered warnings. This spot is taken, private meeting. I know, the stranger said, stepping closer. Dim light from a nearby window, one of the red-lit rooms where a woman stood motionless. A silhouette against crimson curtains illuminated his face. Gaunt, pale, scar running from jaw to collarbone, disappearing beneath the collar of a leather jacket. Tice had seen scars before. He had scars of his own. But something about this one, the way the tissue had healed badly, the way it caught the light like a second mouth, made his stomach clench. I'm someone who knew Klaus, stranger continued. Someone who knows Edwin the Groat is using you as a shield, not as a soldier. Someone who wants to help. Tice narrowed his eyes, his grip tightening on the switchblade. Klaus? Klaus the Cracker? The name was legend among Edwin's organization. Cautionary tale about what happened to men who got above their station. Klaus is a traitor. He works for the Mexicans now. Klaus is a lot of things. And so am I. Right now, I'm the only thing standing between you and a bullet in the brain. You don't know me? I know you, Tice. I know your file. 14 years old, born in Rotterdam. Mother Mariana Dubois. Deceased, father unknown. Recruited by Edwin at age 11, started as a lookout, promoted to courier at 13. Sister Sophie, currently employed at Club Paradiso under conditions that would make the UN Human Rights Commission very interested. Tice felt the blood drain from his face. How do you? I also know that the package in your pocket contains information that Edwin plans to trade 3 different criminal organizations simultaneously. He's playing the Augustus cartel against the Russian Bratva against the Albanian mafia. And when the double crosses come to light, and they will, everyone involved is going to start killing everyone else, including the couriers. That's a lie. It's not. The stranger reached slowly into his jacket, keeping his movements visible, non-threatening, the way you'd approach a wild animal, and withdrew a photograph. He held it out. Do you recognize this man? Tice looked at the image. Corpse sprawled on the warehouse floor, full of dark liquid spreading beneath it. In the dead man's breast pocket, barely visible, was a dried flower, a tulip. His name was Marcus Fries. He was a courier like you. 3 days ago, he delivered a package just like the one you're carrying now. 24 hours later, he was dead. Edwin's signature. Tice's hands were shaking. He couldn't stop them. Well, I don't believe you. You don't have to. But in about 90 seconds, a black Mercedes with tinted windows is going to pull up in the mouth of this alley. Inside that car are 2 of Edwin's enforcers. They're not here to verify your delivery, Tice. They're here to make sure you never make another one. You're lying. Edwin says a lot of things. He told Sophie she'd be free in 6 months. That was 2 years ago. The words hit Tice like a physical blow. He opened his mouth to respond, to argue, to deny, to do something, when the roar of an engine shattered the quiet of the alley. The black Mercedes sedan rolled past the mouth of the passage, moving slowly. It stopped. The engine idled. Low mechanical purr that seemed to vibrate through the cobblestones. The rear window slid down with a soft mechanical whir, revealing the distinctive profile of a suppressed submachine gun. Run! The alley erupted. Chapter 2. Hey, Tiny T. How you doing? It's Tiny T. Scuss. Let me miss anybody. Thanks for watching out. Moderators, Izzy Pop, dropping links and all that good stuff. Here it's strawberry blonde, got strawberry smeared in it. Hey, Mr. Scully. Boy, it got warm down here. It's up in the 70s today. It's 60 out there right now. Six booze. How's everybody doing? The 20 hours starts back today. All right. Oh, shit. Man, got tobacco in my teeth. Hell. Stretch it out. Hey, Jackie. 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 Izzy. Jackie. Tiny. Wow, man. Scully. Tiny. Jackie. Izzy. All our names in and Y. Izzy, Tiny, Scully, Jackie. Wow, man. Oh my goodness. Debbie. I haven't seen that in a while. I remember we used to have the CTFD emoji. You back? You back? Oh, Misha darling. Gypsy Pop. Hey man, awesome, awesome. Hit that like. Leave it running if you can. Good to see you. I know y'all been busy over there. Yeah, what's everybody up to, huh? Misha darling. What's that? I know, right? The heck? It's so crazy, crazy. Crazy. Crazy for feeling so lonely. check. Did I miss Woody? Where's Woody? What the hell, man? Man, I don't even see it. Damn, Woody Pop. Must have been way back there, huh? Oh my goodness. Oh, let's see. Oh yeah, right there. Damn it. Hey Woody. He's probably gone now. Might be a little caffeinated at the moment. Decided to get a cup of coffee. There he is. Hey Woody Pop. How's it going, man? Yeah, I was reading, huh? CWP still here. Shit, I can drink a good cup of coffee right now. Sisters. What? I don't even know what that is. Huh. 1,000-pound sisters? Would they weigh like 500 each or something? Yeah, I need a donut too. Krispy Kreme donut. All right, we're gonna read one more chapter, and then I gotta go check my slow cooking potatoes on the stove and get some tea. We need to try to get through all these chapters tonight and tomorrow. I can tell you right now, we're not even halfway. The Gulf of Mexico was a sheet of hammered bronze under the midday sun, the surface broken only by the occasional white cap that rose and fell like the breath of some sleeping leviathan. Heat was thick, soupy, kind of humidity that made northerners question why anyone would voluntarily live south of the Mason-Dixon line. It settled on the skin like a second layer of flesh, clogging pores and turning every movement into an exercise in thermodynamic futility. Dickie Dempsey sat on the bow of the Hannah, his bare feet dangling over the rail, his eyes fixed on the place where water met sky and the two became indistinguishable. The charter boat, his father's pride and joy, his inheritance, his burden, rocked gently beneath him, a cradle of steel and diesel and salt-crusted memories. A year. It had been a year since the funeral. He tried to remember the ceremony, but the details had blurred at the edges like a photograph left too long in the sun. There had been mourners, fishermen from the harbor, businessmen his father had known, a few faces Dickie didn't recognize who stood apart from the others with the watchful stillness of predators at a watering hole. There had been prayers spoken by a minister his grandmother had hired, words about eternal rest and the peace that surpassed understanding. And then there had been the urn. Dickie closed his eyes, and the image came back with painful clarity. The bronze container, cool and smooth against his palms, heavier than he had expected. The boat rocking beneath his feet as they motored out past the barrier islands, past the oil rigs that dotted the horizon like mechanical sentinels. The silence of the men around him, Skeeter, his grandmother, his Uncle William, who had flown in from California looking uncomfortable and out of place, like a surgeon forced to attend a backwoods revival meeting. The moment when he had opened the urn and let the ashes spill into the water, watching them scatter on the wind and settle on the waves like gray snow, swallowed by the gulf his father had loved. After that, they spread the ashes into the Gulf of Mexico, where they truly belonged. Words from the obituary, the ones Dickie had helped write, the lying words. But he hadn't known they were lies, not then. Dickie was 24 years old now. There's some days he felt twice that age. He had his father's build, lean and wiry, all sinew and calloused hands. Kind of body that came from hauling nets and fighting the sea. His face was younger though, softer around the edges, with his mother's eyes, or so he'd been told. He'd never met her, he never would. He ran the charter business alone now. The Hannah went out 3 times a week during the season, filled with tourists and businessmen who wanted to feel like Hemingway for a few hours. He wanted to catch marlin and tuna and tell stories at cocktail parties about their adventures on the deep blue sea. Dick played the part of the grizzled captain, even though he was barely old enough to rent a car in most states. He wore his father's clothes, used his father's equipment, repeated his father's jokes. Some days, he even felt like his father was still there, looking over his shoulder, judging his technique, telling him to watch the currents and trust the boat. Other days like today, the silence was deafening. His Uncle William was back in California, practicing medicine in a clinic in Los Angeles that served the wealthy of Beverly Hills. They talked on the phone sometimes, awkward conversations that circled around the things neither of them wanted to discuss. William had never fit into the world of the Gulf Coast, too educated, too refined, too far removed from the salt and the blood and the violence that had shaped the Dempsey family. He had escaped, made something of himself, built a life that had nothing to do with hashish and smugglers and men who called themselves Hunt. Dickie envied him sometimes. Other times, he pitied him. It's hard to tell which feeling was stronger. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone, smartphone, waterproof, kind of device his father had always distrusted. The screen lit up, displaying a notification he had been trying to ignore for the past 3 hours. Missed call, 31, Netherlands. The calls had started 2 weeks ago. At first, Dickie had assumed they were spam, some call center in Eastern Europe fishing for credit card numbers or social security information. He had ignored them, deleted them, blocked the numbers. They kept coming. Different numbers, always from the Netherlands. Always at strange hours that suggested someone on the other end was operating on European time. This morning, a voicemail had arrived. Dickie stared at the notification, his thumb hovering over the play button. He had listened to it 3 times already, each time convincing himself that he had misheard, that the voice on the other end was not the voice of a dead man. He pressed play. Dickie. The voice was distant, distorted by the compression of international phone lines and the encryption software that made the call possible. But beneath the static and the artifacts, the cadence was unmistakable. Same rhythm, same inflection, same way of saying his name that made it sound like both a greeting and a warning. Dickie, it's your father. I need you to listen carefully. I don't have much time. Dickie's hands were shaking. He stood up, the boat rocking violently beneath his shifted weight. He looked around the empty deck. Bait boxes, the fishing rods, the cooler full of ice and beer that no one would drink today, as if expecting someone to jump out and explain the joke. You buried a shell, son. Ashes in an urn, words in a eulogy. But I'm not dead, not yet. And right now, I need you to understand that everything I did, the lie, the funeral, the disappearing act, I did it to protect you. Protect William. Keep the wolves away from the door. There was a pause, filled with the hollow hiss of static in the distance. The wolves are coming anyway, Dickie. They found me, and now they're looking for you. The man's gonna come to Gulfport soon. His name's Zamora. Trust him. Do what he says. Get William and disappear. Go to the cabin in Mississippi, the old place. You know the one. Another pause. When the voice resumed, it was softer, almost fragile. I'm sorry, son, for all of it, for the lies, for the secrets. Years I wasn't there. I thought it was protecting you. I thought if I stayed away, darkness would stay away too. Darkness has a way of finding you, no matter how far you run. The message ended with a click and silence. Dickie stared at the phone in his hand. His mind was a hurricane of questions, each one swirling around a central impossibility. Father was alive. Jimmy Dempsey, Hunt, the smuggler, the killer, the ghost, had not scattered on the winds of the Gulf of Mexico. He had faked his death, lied to everyone, abandoned his son to grieve for a man who was still breathing. Dickie's first instinct was fury, a white-hot rage that made his vision blur and his hands clench into fists. He wanted to throw the phone into the ocean, to scream until his throat was raw, to hunt down the man who claimed to be his father and demand explanations. The second instinct, falling hard on the heels of the first, was relief. Beneath both, coiling like a serpent in his gut, was fear. He dialed the number. It rang twice before a voice answered, not his father's voice, but another man's, accented and cold. said you would call. You are Dickie? Who's this? A friend from your father, perhaps an associate in our line of work. The distinction becomes blurry. Where is he, my father? Amsterdam, fighting the war he should have finished 15 years ago. Listen to me carefully. Dickie Dempsey, in 48 hours, a man named Edwin de Grota will send people to Mississippi. They are not coming to talk. They are coming to send you message to your father through your body. Do you understand? Why? What does this have to do with me? Everything and nothing. You are leverage, a pressure point. The best way to hurt a man like your father is to hurt the people he loves. Edwin knows this. So does Mariana. So does the cartel. You always depend on the very large board, Dickie. The only question is whether you'll be taken or whether you will advance. I don't understand any of this. You don't need to understand. You need to survive. Get your uncle, go to cabin, wait for instructions. And Dickie, what? Your father loves you. Remember that when the time comes. Line went dead. Dickie stood on the deck of the hammock, foam grown warm in his hand, sun beating down on his shoulders like the judgment of an angry god. The gulf spread out around him, vast and different. Same water that had supposedly claimed his father's ashes. He wasn't a criminal. Wasn't a smuggler or a soldier or whatever else Jimmy Dempsey had been in his previous life. He was a charter captain, a businessman, a man who caught fish for tourists and drank beer on Friday nights and dreamed small, manageable dreams. But he was also a Dempsey. His father was alive. Dickie had a choice to make. Run and hide or run and fight. He looked at the hand at the boat that had been his father's legacy. Thought about his grandmother Josie back in Gulfport. Probably baking snickerdoodles and worrying about him the way she'd worried about Jimmy, about William, and about everyone who carried the Dempsey blood. He thought about his Uncle William in California, living a safe, respectable life with no idea that the sins of the past were coming for him. Then he thought about the man on the phone, the stranger with the accented voice who spoke of ponds and pressure points and the wars that never ended. Dickie made his decision. He started the engine. The diesel motor roared to life, the beast waking from slumber, hungry for fuel and motion. The Hannah shuddered beneath him as he threw off the mooring lines and pointed the bow toward the harbor. He wasn't ready for this. He wasn't trained for this. He wasn't anything close to the kind of man who could survive in the world his father had inhabited. But he was going anyway. Because that's what Dempsey's did. They walked into the fire and trusted that they'd come out on the other side. Chapter 3. Well, hello, Misty. Spongy. Good to see you. Everybody's doing well. Y'all hang out for a minute. Was that chapter 3, was it? Let's see, yeah, chapter 3, and I'll be on chapter 4. Every time I go from screen to screen on my phone, it goes back to the beginning. Unbelievable. Anyway, I'm going to go check my potatoes, and I'll be right back. Hey, Grizzly. How y'all doing? Love Dr. Pepper. Chick, chick, chick. New fishing rod, but the one I'm looking at is 430. Oh, wow. I think I put about 200 in my rig. I got the Shimano Nexave 4000, the ugly stick. About 20 bucks a braid on there. Let's see what else I missed. I am making sweet potatoes, white potatoes, and boiled carrots as well. I usually eat dinner about midnight, so I eat dinner between 9 and 12. And my protein powder in between. Y'all been cooking up some pretty good stuff over there too. I miss all the food, man. I ain't gonna lie. I'm feeling pretty healthy right now on my stomach. I don't know, I think maybe I just have to stay away from gluten, which is basically wheat and bread and everything. So. Magic. Scuss, cuss, 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 cuss. Izzy Pop. Fried, man. I'm making, usually boil them up and then I fry them in the pan with the beef tallow. Try to crunch them up a little bit. Some Irish breakfast tea. Yeah, soda's probably a culprit of many things, but I don't know. I stay away from it myself. I'm hungry now. Oh, your stomach not feeling too well? Do you reckon you ate something or? Yeah, he's got a really cool gaming channel. Stomach virus. Ugh. I think I've had all the ones I need in my life. Them stomach bugs can be like Houdini. There's Izzy dropping my Cash App so you can send me your paychecks. I don't know. Stomach virus, man. It's not too far different than like a flare up that I get, but they're awful, man. I just want to forget. I don't know. I mean, when was the last time I really complained about my, all notwithstanding the first hour of my life every morning, but after that, I haven't had too many stomach problems lately. That's cool. You put that little envelope emoji there, or that comes up naturally? Man, good luck. Y'all catch them, tear them up tomorrow, man. I was looking at all my gear the other day. Somebody obviously has stolen my tackle box. For the life of me, I can't find it. Oh my god, I had some really nice lures and spinners in there and all kind of plastic, man. Like, oh. But my fishing pole is intact, ready to go. Just as good as when I got it 6 years ago. I take very good care of it. The Shimano Nexade 4000 with 15 to 20 pound braid can pull anything out of the Mississippi Sound. Although I haven't hooked into a Jack Crevalle since I've had it. All the jacks I've gotten on my line before that have completely spooled me. Has anybody ever been spooled by a fish? Or do you know what it means to be spooled? For those of you that don't know, it just like the line sings off your reel and you can't hold the fish back. And it sounds like a 22 going off at the end when it pops it. Man, I've seen the jacks running out there and shit, 3 or 4 feet of water, just chasing schools of mullet, and they're so afraid of those jacks. They'll literally jump out of the water into the rocks, like a bunch of them at once. That's a freight train, man. The Jack Crevalle. Oh my god, what a beast! It's from the drum family. It's got like all drums, they have bones in their throat that smash their food, so they don't have teeth. Yeah, well, I'm all about respecting nature, Misty. Anytime I handle fish, I use respect. I mean, even if you have to use a fish like for cut bait, you cut it up properly, you dispose of what you don't use properly, make sure you don't just throw it somewhere and let it rot. I mean, you throw it back in for the crabs or whatever. But it's that way with all of nature. With me, I don't want to destroy nature now. Anyway. All right, Spongy, good night. I'm gonna read another chapter, I think. We're on chapter 4. Let's see. Chapter 4. Chapter 4, where are we? It's aggravating this manuscript for some reason. No. Way up there. Oh, for fuck's sake. Damn, these chapters are long, man. I'm gonna have to tweak them down. They're too long. Where indie? Fuck. Man, every fucking video's got revenue share now. Every fucking one of them. Mariana Rodriguez stood on the balcony of the penthouse suite at the Hotel Europe, overlooking the Amstel River where it wound through the heart of Amsterdam like a vein of black silk. The view was worth the 4,000 euros a night the suite commanded. Panorama of historic bridges and centuries-old architecture. Tour boats drifting lazily beneath lamp-lit spans of a city that had been built on water and sustained by commerce, both legal and otherwise. She was not the same woman who stood on the deck of the Santa Maria 4 years ago, watching Mario Augustus hold court over his nautical empire. The woman had been young, relatively speaking, hungry, ambitious, still learning the rhythms of the cartel hierarchy. She had worn her beauty like a weapon, her intelligence like armor, her sexuality like a lockpick that could open any door. Now, 36, Mariana had evolved beyond such crude tools. She'd risen through the ranks of the Augustus organization, not by seduction, by calculation. Not by charm, but by competence. She had survived 3 assassination attempts, 2 cartel purges, and 1 federal investigation that had sent half the organization's leadership to prison or the grave. She had emerged from each crisis stronger, more connected, more feared. In Mexico, she was known as La Reina Sin Corona, the queen without a crown, a title that acknowledged both her power and her precarious position, bouncing on the knife's edge between the old guard who distrusted her and the new generation who saw her as the future. Here in Amsterdam, she was a ghost, a myth, a name whispered in the dark corners of coffee shops and back rooms of brothels. She swirled the vintage Rioja in her glass, watching the wine leaves legs on the curved surface. The smell of it, oak and dark fruit, earth and time, reminded her of her grandfather's vineyard in Jalisco, the one the cartel had seized when she was 7 years old. The one that had set her family on the path that led inevitably to this balcony overlooking the foreign river in a foreign city. The diamond was gone. The massive, flawless stone from the Pelican Bay casino heist. 300 carats of compressed carbon worth more than some small country's GDP had been delivered to Lucero Zamora 6 months ago. Payment for services rendered and services yet to come. It had been the hardest decision she had ever made, surrendering that much wealth, that much power crystallized into a single glittering object. But it had also been the smartest. Zamora was now the most powerful independent operator in Central America. His loyalty bought and paid for with the most beautiful bribe in the history of organized crime. He controlled shipping routes from Colombia to Texas, his fingers on the pulse of every major trafficking operation south of the Rio Grande. And he owed that position, his empire, his wealth, his life, to Mariana. Loyalty was the rarest currency in the criminal underworld. Mariana had purchased Zamora's in Fiora full. But Edwin the Great was a problem. She turned from the view and walked back into the suite, her silk robe whispering against the marble floor. The room was a study in European opulence, antique furniture, crystal chandeliers, art that might have been genuine old masters or might have been extremely convincing forgeries. She didn't care either way. She was here for business, not aesthetics. Edwin the Groat had survived Ternosian. That alone made him remarkable. Most of the men involved in that catastrophe had died in the villa or in the years that followed, picked off by rivals and allies alike. But Edwin had done more than survive. He crawled out of the wreckage and built a new empire in Amsterdam, one that now threatened the very pipelines Mariana and Augustus had fought so hard to control. Worse, Edwin was dealing in dirty commodities. Human trafficking, weapons, kind of merchandise that brought heat from law enforcement and condemnation from criminal organizations that still maintain some vestige of ethical boundaries. The Augustus cartel dealt in cocaine, marijuana, money laundering, traditional sins, accepted sins, the kind of sins that lubricated the machinery of global commerce. Edwin's operations were something else entirely: chaos, contamination, kind of activities that drew attention and invited destruction. He had to be dealt with one way or another. Senora, the voice came from the doorway connecting the living room to the suite's private entrance. Mateo Esperanza, one of her most trusted lieutenants, stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his posture steady and controlled tension. Mateo was 30 years old, compact and muscular, with dark eyes and indigenous features of his Mayan ancestors. He had been with Mariana for 7 years, since she had pulled him out of a Guatemala City prison where he was awaiting execution for murdering a government official. The official had deserved it. He'd been responsible for the massacre of Mateo's village, but that hadn't mattered to the Guatemalan judiciary. Mariana had offered him a choice: die in a cell or live in service to a greater cause. He'd chosen to live. He had not regretted the decision. Report, Mariana said, settling into an armchair that cost more than most people earned in a year. The boy, Thais Dubois, he was intercepted. Mariana's expression didn't change, but her fingers tightened almost imperceptibly on the stem of her wine glass. Intercepted? By whom? The police? No, senora. Mateo shifted his weight, a rare tell that indicated discomfort. By a man described by witnesses as American, middle-aged, scarred. Reports from our sources and Edwin's organization are confused, but the consensus is that this man took the boy and the package from the alley behind Hill Street Blues. Two of Edwin's enforcers are dead. Names? Fonderberg and Smith, both known quantities, both competent. The American killed them in under 30 seconds, according to the surviving witnesses. Mariana set the glass down slowly on the marble side table. The click seemed unnaturally loud in the silence of the suite. Describe him, the American. Mateo consulted a tablet he produced from his jacket. Male, approximately 40 to 45 years of age, height approximately 185 centimeters, weight approximately 80 kilograms. Lean build, weathered complexion, significant scarring on the neck, and probably some other places. Witnesses described him as a predator, efficient, kind of man who has killed many times before. Does this description remind you of anyone, Mateo? It sounds like the description in the old files, the Trenosian files, the American called Hunt. Jimmy Dempsey. Yes, Senora, but he is dead. Augustus confirmed it personally. The cancer took him over a year ago. His ashes were scattered in the Gulf of Mexico. Mariana smiled, a cold, dangerous expression that didn't reach her eyes. It was the smile of a chess player who had just seen an unexpected move on the board. A move that changed everything. Apparently, the news of his death was exaggerated. She stood and walked to the window, looking out over the lights of Amsterdam. The city glowed beneath her like a circuit board, each light a node in a network of power and commerce and crime that existed for centuries. Hunt is alive. You think this death disappeared, and now he resurfaces in Amsterdam. The exact moment when Edwin the Groat is consolidating power. The exact moment when the boy Tice is carrying information that could spark a war between every criminal organization in Europe. Turning back to Mateo. This is not a coincidence. Hunt is here for a reason. And Edwin is sloppy. He thinks he is the new king of Amsterdam. He forgets that the old kings never truly die. They simply wait in the shadows, watching until the moment is right to strike. What are your orders, Senora? Mariana considered. The Augustus cartel had significant interest in the Netherlands, shipping routes, financial networks. Edwin's operation threatened those interests. Hunt was a wild card. In her experience, wild cards are either opportunities or threats, usually both. Find them. Find Hunt and the boy. I want to know where they are, what they're doing, who they're talking to. But do not engage, not yet. And Edwin? Edwin will destroy himself eventually. Men like him always do. Question is whether he destroys everything else in the process. In the meantime, I want to know what Hunt knows. I want to know why he crawled out of his grave to come here to the city at this moment. And then, Senor, then we invite them to the party. Chapter 4. Hey, Nathan. up, bros? Broska. It's me. It's me. Wow, wow, wow. I think we made it about halfway, guys. Maybe a little bit more than fun. So we got chapter 5. Chapter 6. Wrestling. We go wrestling. Six, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. Chapter 5, chapter 6, chapter 7, chapter 8. Holy shit, that's long. Okay, we are exactly halfway, I think. So we're 8 chapters. Sorry, y'all, I'm working out my freaking thing here. Hang on. Yeah, there's 8 chapters complete now. That's where I've left off with the actual writing, but we read 1 through 4 tonight of the new version. So, Amsterdam 2.0. Looking good. It's going to be super cool getting this book published. Well, it's nice, 59 degrees. Give me a good walk after a while. What's everybody up to this weekend? Well, thanks everybody for being here. Busy Pop also donated a membership. She's been a member for 3 years and 3 months. Side orders, sending love off to board games. Scott. Wow, man. Heck yeah. Auto store, okay. Awesome.
Gus, 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 gus. Tingle, tingle, tingle. Gus, 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 gus. Tingle, tingle, tingle.
Well, hey there, friend, pull up a chair. It's your boy ScullyPop with stories to share. From the page to the stage, I've done it all. Books on the shelf and curtain calls. I whisper tales in the dead of night with a little ta-ta-ta just to feel right. And if you need some tingles down your spine, ska, 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 yeah, that sound is mine. So buckle up, it's quite the ride. We're going deep, no need to hide. Where the entertainment doesn't stop. You're tuned in now to ScullyPop. So close your eyes and enjoy the glide, and we'll see side. I've read my novels by candlelight, with every chapter feeling just right. I'm the author that reads to you slow, with rhythm and rhyme in every flow. My fingers snap, the mic goes hot. Live from the heart, I give all I got. A little jazz, a touch of noir, mix in some ASMR and you're not far. Ska, 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 ta, 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 let the rhythm carry ya. Ta, 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 ska, 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 feel the story, feel the vibe. Let the rhythm carry ya. Ta ta ta, ska ska ska. Feel the story, feel the vibe. Buckle up, it's quite the ride. We're spinning dreams on the other side, where the entertainment doesn't stop. You're vibing now with ScullyPop. So dim the lights and let it slide, and we'll see you on the other side. Yeah. Stories whispered, curtains raised, books turned to gold and voices praised. I'm just the guide on this wild old ride, and if you're still with me, I'll see you on the other side.